I'm Jordan Cooper, a.k.a. Blender at BlenderHD. You're going to follow me on Twitter. And it's Thursday, January 2nd. We'll be taking a look as best we can with some props and pick'em action on NFL Week 18 slate, last week of the regular season. So hit that thumbs up button on your way in the door. Give me those tummy thumbs, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to always know when we go live. Since we're talking props, since we're talking pick'em, all the way from the probably cold, probably getting cold in Colorado. It's Grant Neeper. And has the cold come in yet in Colorado? Because it was warm last week here in Louisville. But by next week, it's going to be like 17 degrees.
I mean, Colorado's not quite what you think. It's actually a pretty, like, even-keeled type of weather state. I mean, some days we'll have a blizzard, and then 2 days later it'll be 80. Like, I think we have some of the most sunny days of the year. So right now it's pretty cold. It's like 33 degrees, but it'll be a high of 50. It's really not too bad from a weather standpoint out here in Colorado.
Not too bad from a props perspective this week, other than the fact that we got all the games. We got half the games that really don't matter. We have some teams that have to win, some teams that may want to win but don't really care as much. There are teams that we already know are sitting their starters. It's Thursday, and a lot of these games, other than we got like the Bengals-Steelers game or the Vikings-Lions game, like games where it's very clear that both teams want to win the game. A lot of the props are just not simply just not even up. Oh. I mean, it's just literally not even on the board. So I wanted to talk about just your general prop betting for weeks like this. Week one is similar to some extent where you may not have as much information. I consider these weeks in both DFS and in prop betting to be like the I know ball type of weeks where, like, if you have a take, like, you're going to get the best odds on your take this type of week, especially if it's off market. So for instance, if like when these Chiefs props come out, like, God knows what the Chiefs do with Carson Wentz at quarterback. And like, if Kareem Hunt is active, how much does he play compared to Carson Steele? The receiving rotation, the prop markets are going to kind of put up the shrug emoji. I don't know about you, but I on these weeks, I plan on Saturday to be doing to use this week as a high variance week and do a lot of alt betting. As far as you understand what I mean, that like it's very similar. Like the week this season that worked very well was the week where Puka was active out of nowhere, like coming back from injury, and like no one knew if he was like fully healthy because we barely had time to react. Like that was a week where like I'll bet Puka's alts overs, but I'll also bet like Tutu Atwell and Demarcus Robinson overs, because it seems like the type of situation where either Puka was going to play like all the snaps or he's going to barely play. And the prop market like had it like in the middle where like if Puka played all the snaps, like his prop is going to go way over. And if Puka didn't play all the snaps, the Robinson and Atwell props were too low. So like I won by betting like all of them, but instead of betting the minus 110s, I'm betting the plus 350s. So like I don't care about losing like one side because I'm getting paid so much more on the other side. I feel like this is the type of week where you kind of want to go into that more of that approach. It may be more profitable to just say, hey, this is what I think is going to happen. And I'm going to take, a guy's rushing prop. Instead, if his over-under rushing prop is 44.5, and you're like, well, I think he may just be the bell cow this week. Like, just take his, like, 70-plus or 80-plus for a much bigger plus price and just take a whole bunch of those types of bets across the entire board.
Yeah, I mean, you expect, like, most weeks for NFL, for any real betting, you kind of go off of a bell curve. Like, the range of outcomes is generally going to coincide a little bit more towards the mean in most spots. Not this week. It's all over the place. Like the expected outcomes of everyone could be just massively. You could have a guy that, I think he's going to play the majority of snaps this game. Might only play like 4 or 5. You don't know what's going to happen in a lot of these games. And I mean, you mentioned the Pittsburgh Cincinnati game. How they want to play it. Like, do the Steelers? Like, we don't know if they're going to want to play. Like, I think Baltimore is the earlier game that day, if I remember correctly. Yeah, they're playing. So if Baltimore wins, Steelers are just playing for seeding. I guess they can potentially get a slightly better seed. Bengals, we know, are going to play no matter what. I mean, they scheduled it day before the Broncos play. Bengals win, then they just have to root against the Broncos versus the Chiefs. And they've shown that they're just going to sling the ball no matter what. So fully expect them to play, but we don't know if Pittsburgh's really going to want to do much of anything in this spot. And I kind of factored in that a slight amount into my bets, but I'm still trying to get some value early on here with some of these Steelers players. But yeah, the one game that we know is going to be incredible. The one game that has potentially the most importance of any game I've ever seen for playoff implications of two teams that are already in the playoffs, in Detroit and in Minnesota. Like,
is it the highest total of the year? 57? Have we seen a game with a higher total?
I don't think we have. Like, this is super high. I mean, it makes sense. Two high-powered offenses, two defenses that force teams to pass. Like, I am going to be just zoned into this game. I'm going to have a ton of money on it. I have a ton of value in a lot of different spots. I am just super excited for it, and like it's going to be one of the best games of the year. Winner gets the 1 seed. Loser doesn't even host a playoff game. It's incredible how messed up this scenario is for potentially the two best teams in the league.
They just happen to be in the same division. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is that the only reason we rarely see teams with like 2 13-win teams come from the same division.
I don't think we've ever seen 2 14-win teams come from one division, let alone one 15-win and one 14-win from the same division. Between the two of them, there's going to be 5 total losses the entire season. And we know that 2 of those losses are coming from when they play each other. So it's just something absolutely incredible here. And it's going to be a fun watch.
How do you deal with teams like the Texans, like the teams that are locked? Like, to me, the hardest ones for me, like teams like a game like the Seahawks game. Like both teams, like they've nothing to play for, and like you could just see them playing some starters some of the time. They could play backup side. Like both teams don't matter. It's these locked in teams like the Commanders. Like, do the Commanders really need to? I mean, do they really need to play people? No. Do the Texans really need to play people? No. But do the Packers? The Packers really don't need to play people either. But some coaches decide to well, we want to keep the momentum going forward. I mean, obviously the Texans don't have much momentum on offense. To me, these are the more interesting spots where, like, is Jaden Daniels gonna play the whole game? Like Buffalo, like is Josh Allen gonna come in and play one series and just leave? Is he gonna play one snap and then leave? I mean, like, is it? I mean, I know that there's like a consecutive game started streak, like some of these weird situations where lines are not out now, but like if there's no clarification, and let's just say the books are a little bit smarter these days. If the books put up a regular prop for Josh Allen, like, shouldn't you like just take the under? I mean, like,
yep.
Isn't it a good? Or if there was an all under, even though the books don't do all unders, it's like very similar to the Draymond Green situation from last year, or the Michael Bridges one in NBA last year, where it's like, oh no, Draymond Green is just going to come out and play like like until the first time out and then like take a bow and get out of the
No,
game. Or
we
Michael
literally
Bridges
just
is
came
just going
in.
to start. Right.
Yeah, came in, started, fouled, out. That's it.
Right. So if you bet all of his unders, especially if you took an SGP, I mean, you could have gotten a nice like 160 to 1 SGP for $10, and like that was easy pickings. I don't know. I'm that's the type of thing that I'm looking for Friday night, Saturday. Like I'm looking for to instead of like, okay, let me load up projections, let me go around, let me make my 80 to 100 bets, 120 whatever bets across the board, flat staking, I would normally do throughout the year. I really think this is the week where like I'm looking to exploit SGP engines. I'm looking to exploit, uh, parlay parlays that don't seem correlated but really are correlated, and the books have not accounted for that. Like if this guy plays, then that guy doesn't, right? And if it's going to be both these guys could go over in two different halves, right? You could say I want a first half touchdown by this guy, and then the over on this guy, the complete other, like just weird combinations of stuff based on looking at like coach speak and just the motivation in general. And sometimes I know I'm saying like, well, these guys could sit and then you take the under there. Sometimes, Grant, and we see this in I know from Premier League soccer, because we talk about this on the last week of the season in soccer also, that typically there's 10 games and 8 games like just literally don't matter at all. And we always think of well, an hour before kickoff, we may get starting lineups that like it's all the backups and stuff like that. Or this guy starts and only plays a half. And you know what ends up happening, Grant? A lot of times the two teams that have nothing to play for just play it like they just play like it's a normal game. And the also another byproduct is it's much more likely that the offensive players care more than the defensive players. So sometimes these games between two teams in mid-table that don't matter, the score line is 6-4 in a soccer game, because like it's like everyone's thinking about their summer vacation and where they're going on holiday. But the offensive players are like, well, if I score 2 more goals, I get some incentive in my contract. So I'm going out and trying to score goals. And the defenders are like, we don't really care that much. So we're not gonna chase down someone and possibly get our leg broken. Do you think there are spots this week where maybe the lines could be set too low in certain games because they're just like the total is 38.5, and it's like these two teams don't really care that much. Maybe the starters play a half, and then it just turns out that the starters just play like it's a normal game, and you could just take like overs of these situations way more frequently than you should.
Yeah, no, I mean that's definitely a spot. And again, I don't go in with that general rule. I go in with the thought process that, all right, there is going to be more volatility. So it's one of those things where, all right, if we're expecting Josh Allen to only play the first half, let's say, if he's only going to play the first half, line comes in at like 140, take the under, and then take an alt over. Like the expected outcome most likely is not going to be between 120 and 160, but the expected outcome is like maybe a 50% or 58% chance of under 120 passing yards and a 30% chance of over 200. So the range of outcomes between 120 and 200 passing yards, much less than the implied 15%, we'll say, or 25% will say that the sports books may have. So you can find that little gray area of volatility based on will he play the entire game or will he only play it one half. I mean, that was just a random example. I got nothing off the top of my head because we don't have these lines out. Like we do not have these lines out. Even Pittsburgh, for instance, I mean, one bet that I took is Calvin Austin under 31.5 receiving yards, and Calvin Austin not a huge part of this offense. Like I have under 31.5 as a fairly decent bet overall. And so the fact that Pittsburgh, depending on how the first game goes, may not end up playing their guys much in this spot, may end up just second half. All right, we'll put in We'll put in Fields. We'll put in Mike Evans to play a few more snaps. We'll put in guys that probably just need some more run. I mean, they've already been kind of hit or miss on who they're playing in any given week. We could see Scotty Miller play 50, 60% of snaps. We could see any number of guys playing increased roles. We could see Pickens play 20% of snaps just to keep him healthy. We don't know what's really going to go on in that game. So I already took Calvin Austin under on yards, and I think that's whether they play the entire game, I have it as a good bet. And if they don't, then I have it as a great bet. If he only plays 40, 30% of snaps, it's a fantastic bet. So, I mean, obviously you can hit a 35-yard reception at any given time. But if I have it as a plus EV bet in for the under, assuming he plays his normal snaps, then it's a fantastic bet considering he might not play all his snaps.
Okay, sorry, that number's up on Prize Picks. So we're gonna put together a Prize Picks card based on what we currently have out now, right? Because obviously, half these games the props aren't even available. So less than 31.5 receiving yards for Calvin Austin. What's up? Some other stuff that you're looking at this week that maybe we could find on Prize Picks.
So let's see. I mean, lines just came out not too long ago for the Baltimore game, not Baltimore, the Lions game. So one I want to go with. I'm just checking passing attempts, see if they have that up on Prize Picks. I know there's one from that game that I like.
No, there's nothing. They just have two.
Yeah, from the Lions game, they do have Darnold passing yards up, I believe.
Yes, Darnold 279.5.
Yeah, which is kind of right in line with the market, but I still think it's too low. So Darnold obviously been playing great football recently. Didn't have a great game last time these two played, but I really don't care for that. Well, he actually had a great game, went 22 of 27, I think. But he didn't have a ton of volume. These two teams, great run defenses, force opposing teams to pass at the first and the third highest rate in the league. This is a high line for Darnold, but we also have to realize this game has a 57-point total. There are going to be a lot of yards. There's going to be a lot of points scored. It's being played in a dome because both these teams play in domes. Like, this is going to be a massive shootout, and with both teams forcing opponents to pass at a huge rate, there's going to be a lot more offense in this spot than you would expect. I have him projected for over 300 yards, which is just absurd. And there's a spot where I could see 70 point, like the game that immediately comes to mind is Chiefs Rams back in 2018. Like,
right, I remember that game. That was like 90 plus points. There was there was like 45 to 48, 45 or something like that.
Yeah, something absurd. It was right around Thanksgiving time that year, and it was Monday Night Football. It was just incredible. Yeah, so that I could see that happening here. Like, this is going to be a shootout. Darnold over passing yards is probably my least favorite in this game, but it's the only one Prize Picks have. I took his over on attempts, Goff's over attempts, Goff's over passing yards. I have multiple other guys overs. I'm just loving this game. So I wanted to make sure we have something in there for some certainty this week because they're both playing for stuff. Yeah, we'll roll with that one. And then, so another thing where even because there is some uncertainty in this game, I don't really care. And the line's a little bit higher on Prize Picks, but I really like Jerry Jeudy over receiving yards. Line is at 48.5, 49.5, depending on where you're at. It's at 53.5 at Prize Picks. Not great, but I think this line's going to move a pretty large amount. So we don't know if DTR or Zappy is going to start, or potentially Winston. Who knows? Regardless of who it is, everything kind of points towards Cleveland throwing the ball a ton. Last week with DTR, behind center. I think Judy had 18 targets. Just absolutely absurd. Ravens been one of the worst teams versus wide receiver ones this season. Their defense is set up to force you to pass the ball at a massive clip. I think they're currently second in the league in pass rate against. The Browns are an 18-point dog. They're going to throw the ball 45 times if they can get anything going on the offense. That's a big if. But that is a much better quarterback than DTR. But just based on pure volume, Jerry Jeudy's going to get a ton of yards in this spot. This is one where I could see Jeudy going for 100 yards. We talked about him, or we talked about alt lines here.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to happen in this game, and I have him as a great median outcome over, regardless of every single circumstance, because Browns are going to play him. And he has a huge variance in how many yards he can get, but the volume is going to be fantastic in the spot. So I'm just taking this over. And when the alt lines start to come out, I'll be probably hammering those.
So let's take an alt line. We'll boost our picks. We'll do a 5-pick card instead of a 6-pick card, and we'll add like let's it's the last week of the season. Let's go for gold on the Sam Darnold one. Right, so Darnold, we'll do the goblin, we'll do the whatever, the demon goblin, whatever. Typically, I don't do these, but we'll go for let's do what 299.5 for Darnold. So basically 300 plus yards for Darnold.
Yeah, I like that. Go for
and then Judy,
we can 300 plus
bump him up to like
what odds does it get? I don't fully understand the peer-to-peer. I can't play it too much over in Colorado. Right. There's weird laws around it. But I mean, I don't understand what the goblin mode and stuff like that on Prize Picks. You're more the expert on that.
No, what ends up happening is you get first place in your group where you win a certain amount, or if you get all of them correct, you get another. You're guaranteed a certain amount. So like right now, once you start playing goblins and stuff like that, you're just going for the normal, the perfect lineup payouts. You don't care about winning first place in your group because you're going to get paid less when you use the goblins. So you just care. I'm getting 11x on a 3-pick on Austin Darnold Judy right now.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Right. So we need let's get two more.
All right, 2 more. Let's see something else I don't have any.
Anything for the Giants? The Giants have nothing to play for, but it seems like they're probably going to play their guys.
Yeah, so I got one. Tracy rushing yards. Yep, looks like Prize Picks has it at 49.5, right in line with the market. And I don't mind going up to, 60, 70 yards. It's a 2-point spread. So, I mean, obviously Tracy in recent weeks, he's been playing his normal 70% snap rate. Their offense has been inept with DeVito, inept at times with Locke. They're going up against the Eagles, who are a tough defense. They've been one of the best defenses in the league, but they're not playing for anything. They're playing for absolutely nothing. If they win, they're the 2 seed. If they lose, they're the 2 seed. That's it. So they've got nothing. They've already said, I think that Barkley's not playing. Hurts not playing. Like, defensively, I'm assuming they're not going to have the same defensive lineup that they generally have out there. We've got shown last week that Giants want to screw up their future by winning, with Drew Lock putting on an absolute clinic. And it's a 2-point spread against a potentially below average defense, depending on who they put out there for how long. Game script could lead them to rushing the ball. I mean, Tracy had 20 rush attempts last week. He could have 20 rush attempts this week. They could be way ahead because they're going up against that entire offense is not the same without Hurts and without Barkley. Their defense, who knows who's going to be out there. So there's a chance that Giants get up a decent amount with Locke doing what Drew Lock sometimes does. And Tracy, in a normal scenario, I have him over 50 yards in this spot. Like, all things considered, with all the unknowns in there, even if the Eagles bring out their normal defense for the most part, 50 yards is too low. If they bring out a very subpar defense, if they get ahead quickly, it's drastically too low. So Tracy over 50 is a great bet. But yeah, going goblin mode, going 60 plus, 70 plus could have some huge value.
Okay, goblin mode for Tyrone Tracy at more than 59.5 rushing yards. Okay, we're already at 28x payout. Let's see. Let's get a fifth one in here. Going for glory.
Okay, let's see. Is Bo Nix rushing yards on there?
I believe so. I think it was at 17.5. I think I saw.
Yep.
Yeah, 17.5.
That's a potential fun one here. And talking about volatility, Bo Nix rushing. I think 7 of the games this season, he's had less than 10 yards rushing. 9 of the games this season, he's had 23, 24 plus. And then a handful of games, he's had 35 plus, 40 plus, 50 plus, 60 plus. One game is 75 plus. Like, he's rushing the ball in games where he needs to kind of do things. Going up against the Chiefs are not running out their A squad. We already know that. Like, Bo Nix absolutely has to win in order to get in. It's pretty simple. It's win and in for the Broncos. And so they're going to do everything they can. They might even run up the score a little bit. Nix is probably going to be running on the ground a decent amount. And again, variance of outcomes. 7 games under 10 yards, 0 games between 10 and 23 this season for rushing yards. And he's had 5-6 attempts every single game. He can absolutely bust off a 30-yard run in any given spot here. So I think he's going to be rushing the ball a decent amount here, trying to extend plays and extend drives because they need to win versus what could end up being a terrible Chiefs team. And also, we talk about motivation here. The most motivation in this game is the Broncos, but it's not by a lot because no one wants to face the Bengals in the playoffs. No, you ask 30 or every single playoff team, who would you rather face, the Broncos or the Bengals in the playoffs? I can't imagine a single one of them says, yeah, give me Joe Burrow the way he's playing, even with that terrible defense.
Right.
Like,
right. The Bengals are probably the best team with the worst record.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've seen what if the one-score games flipped this year and the Bengals are like the top team in the league and the Chiefs are the worst.
Right.
But
so you're okay with the distribution of outcomes for Bo Nix. The regular prop on Prize Picks is 17.5. The Little Demon is 19.5, but 24.5 seems pretty good as a demon. And now we get up to getting paid 48x. So 25.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah. And 25x, like, I don't always like to game log watch, but again, he's had 25 plus rushing yards in exactly half the games this season. Like, that's strangely enough the line where half the games this season he's gotten 25 plus.
Okay. This is what we're going to do. We don't care about coming in first place in our group. If we get paid 15x, it doesn't matter. If we get a perfect lineup, we get 48x. Get 5 out of 5 correct picks to win, but we also get lineup protection. So we miss 1 or 2, we get our money back. So that's where we're going for with all the demons here. Like I said, it's much better if you bet these, like, if do the alts on the sports books more so than trying to like parlay these things together in Prize Picks Arena. But obviously there are certain states where you're not, you can't, there's no sports books, there's no regulated sports book. So Prize Picks and Underdog and all those types of sites are the only place to go. But this seems like a card that we could put in. I put my real money down on it, $25. Let's make sure that it goes in. Sometimes it just screws up on Chrome. Okay, we got our lineup in. Okay. So the lineup that we got, I'll even show it. Yeah, here we go. So we are taking Calvin Austin, less than 31.5 receiving yards. Then we're taking 4 goblins, or they're demons. The goblins are the green ones, right? Okay. We're taking four demons. Sam Darnold, more than 299.5 passing yards. Judy, more than 69.5 receiving yards. Tyrone Tracy, more than 59.5 rushing yards. And Bo Nix, more than 24.5 rushing yards. Grant, what do you got going on this week over at Scores and Odds or Parlay Science? Obviously you have the Discord. Well, what should people do when it comes to props and stuff with you for week 18?
I mean, it all depends on what you want. If you want, I got plenty of bets already up for. I think I have 8 bets, which we went through a lot of them on here. Up for this weekend, I'll be getting some touchdown bets in there. There'll be more in. Then I can always find a little bit of NBA stuff. I kind of have been a little bit light on NBA while NFL season has been going on, but yeah, I can find that over at Scores and Odds. Join the Action Network Discord if you want to live bet some games. I assume we're going to be doing probably Saturday night football or Saturday afternoon football. Live betting that. We've done very well, me and Nick Giffen. And yeah, over on Parlay Science, I think the link is in my bio. Hate saying that. But yeah, dropping parlays and straight bets every single day. I've gotten real unlucky with parlays lately. Like, it's always the last leg of the night that ends up losing on 3 legs by the hook. So still done well, hit a few of them, but they just the luck has not been there, which is bound to turn around just based on how odds work at some point.
Yep. So hit that thumbs up button on your way out the door. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to always know when we go live. Tomorrow I'll be on talking GPP strategy for this week 18 slate. Hopefully we get a little bit more news about who's playing, who's not playing. It'll be a high variance week. We'll talk about the strategies and put together that tier list with a 13-game slate on tap on Sunday. So hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to RotoGrinders. Hit the link in the description. Get $40 off your first month of a combo package. And I will see you tomorrow, as I'm always here for you on weekdays, 11 o'clock Eastern, talking about all things you're thinking about in daily fantasy, props, and pick'em on RotoGrinders Today.